thought I would make a video tonight on cowboy cooking, or you might call it primitive cooking. It's cooking out on an open fire. Of course, a lot of the campgrounds now, the primitive camping, they have fire rings out. So if I have a fire ring, I like to use it. But you can just do this right on the ground. But if you have a fire ring, it's always nice, because a lot of them have the grill, except for that grill right there doesn't set flat, so I got to work something out on it. Now, it takes two basic things to have a good fire, and one is the fuel, that is what you burn, and preferably dry wood. If you're out in the woods camping, and I say dry wood, I've seen a lot of people try to build a fire and they go out and pick up sticks and things off of the ground, which have been laying there for a while, and they've soaked up water, and all they do is smoke. Preferably, if you have a tree around that has dry limbs on it, that's your best choice. Now, I always look for pine cones and pine needles, and I use that for my kindling to start my fire, because the drier it is, the quicker it lights and the better it burns. And I do what I call a pyramid. I put the pine cones down, then I put pine needles on top of them, and then I use wood, dry wood, up until about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to make like a pyramid, and then I light it, and that's what starts my fire. You do not have to have a bonfire in order to cook. As a matter of fact, if you can't stand next to your fire is too big. You need to be able to stand there and cook. So after I get my food ready, I'll come back and show you how to cook over an open fire. And by the way, a lot of people think this is hard. It's really not, because the best chefs in the world cook over open flames. Now they're able to control that with a knob on the stove, but you can control an open flame in the woods by taking the pan off of the fire. You don't have to just set it on there and just try to cook, because an open flame will cook faster than one that you can control with a knob. So and it does cook very quick. If you want tea, you can boil the water, pour it in a cup, drop your couple tea bags in. If you want coffee, I have a 1-cup coffee maker, and I take the drip bucket out of the coffee maker, and I put my filter in it, put my coffee, I boil my water over an open flame, and I pour it through it right down into my coffee cup. And it's very quick. So when I get my food prepared, ready to cook, I'll come back. Well, I got the fire started. The pine cones were very dry and they burn up pretty quick, so I'm hoping the other wood will catch up now and give me a coal base so that I can cook on it. I'm going to mix up my batter. I'm going to do some pan-fried cornbread. Well, I got my cornbread cooking over the coals. I spilled some grease and I've got it smoking now, so we'll see how it turns out. It's been a long time since I cooked cornbread this way, but we'll see. Okay, the cornbread cooked, but it stuck to the pan and tore apart when I tried to take it out, but it got done. So now I'm frying the potatoes. I'll fry them for a little while, and then I'll add the onions. The beans and the weenies will be the last thing that I cook, and that will be your cowboy dinner. Fire is about right. Alright, the potatoes are looking great. I cooked them a while and then I've added the onions. My fire is perfect. I'll cook the beans and weenies last. If my cornbread hadn't stuck, it would have been perfect. And by the way, I put a strip of fatback bacon in there to grease the pan with. Yeah, the salt in the fatback, I don't ever add any more salt because it works out perfect. I'll get back when I get the beans on. Now I'm not gonna brag too much, but boy, those potatoes are perfect. Make a preacher lay his Bible down, the bulldog break his chain. I like my potatoes a little crispy on the outside and my onions to have just a tiny bit of crunch. That's perfect. Let that pan cool off a little bit. Now I'm gonna cook those beans. I want y'all to know that all this would be easier on my Coleman propane stove that Calvin gave me. But I have done this a lot of times. Back in the day when we didn't have propane stoves. Of course, I have to watch these beans, they'll burn real quick. I'll show you what that dish looks like when I get finished. All right, here's supper tonight. Fried cornbread, fried potatoes and onions, and beanie weenies. That's a cowboy dinner right there. And one more thing before I close this out. Let's go back over to the fire. Cooking them beans in a cast iron, it's definitely gonna stick. So I turn my pan upside down and I let the fire do the cleaning. In a few minutes I'll take that out and let it cool out and then just scrape it out and it'll be ready to go.